feel like it's more fun when it's challenging.
Hello and welcome to Tutor Hub 101. This is Ava and today we're going to go through a tutorial on the equations of circles. So we're going to go through the standard form and the general form, and I'll be going into details about graphing and their equations and conversions. So first, the standard form. The standard form of a circle is this guy right there. The x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And in this formula, the h and k are the center of the circle and the r is the radius of the circle. So for example, if we take a look at the circle on the graph and we're trying to write the equation for this, first let's take a look at what the center is, and it looks like it is 3, -3, and the radius is 2. So in our equation, we're going to write, for the x, we're going to write 3 here and a -3 over here. So you notice that these guys will change signs. Basically, when you put it into the formula, it should have the opposite signs of both of these. And then the radius is 2, so that goes right there. And so the final version will look like x minus 3 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 4. Standard form graphing. Graph the circle and state the equation in standard form. So we're given a radius of 3 and a center of -2, -1. Okay, just to make it a little bit more challenging, let's try and write the equation of the circle first and get that out of the way. So we're going to have an x and then the opposite of the -2, which is +2, squared plus y, and then opposite of the -1, so +1 squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. I mean, it's not that much more challenging, but still. Okay, and then now to graph it. We'll go to the center first, right there at the -2, -1, and since we know the radius is 3, we can just go up 3, down 3, and 3 on both sides, and then just go ahead and turn that into a circle. Well, that was a pretty good circle actually. And let's move on. State the equation of a circle with a radius of square root of 15 and the center of 5, -2. Okay, so we'll start out with our x and opposite sign of the 5, so -5 squared plus, and then it's going to be y, opposite sign of the -2 right there, so +2 squared equals, and it's going to be square root of 15 squared. And if you remember your properties of exponents, you know that these square root and the square are inverses. They cancel each other out. So we end up with x minus 5 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals just 15. Is the point -4, 3 inside, outside, or on the circle? Basically for these ones, they're pretty simple and straightforward. All we have to do is take this point and plug it in to our equation. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to have -4 minus 2 squared plus 3 plus 1 squared equals 36. And so this turns into -6 squared plus 4 squared equals 36. And so we might be able to notice here that they don't actually equal each other. Our objective here is to really see what is the relationship between one side and the other side. So from this point, let's kind of just take this part and go forward with this. So -6 squared is 36 plus 4 squared is 16, which gives us a 52. And then now how does 52 compare to 36? Well, it is greater than 36, which means that this point, -4, 3, is outside the circle. The general form of a circle. The equation is x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c. So there's a couple things to notice here. The coefficients of the x squared and the y squared is 1. And then the last thing to notice is that we have an equal 0 on the other side. So this is what our final equation must look like. So in this question, we're going from standard form to general form. And so that means we are going to multiply this out. One quick note I would like to make here is that this guy, x minus 3 squared, is not the same thing as x squared minus 3 squared. This is one of the most common mistakes that I see as a math tutor. This is not a property that exists because there's a plus or minus that's in between those two, and it's not just multiplied. It's not like 3x squared. Okay, so what we do here is we're going to have to FOIL it out. X minus 3 times x minus 3 plus y plus 6 times y plus 6 equals 25. Okay, so if we FOIL out this side, we're going to end up with x squared minus 3x plus 9 plus y squared plus 6x or 6y plus 6y plus 36 equals 25. Okay, and then let's go ahead and combine like terms. So we'll end up with x squared minus 6x. This 9, I guess I will just leave it because I'm going to need to combine it with this 36. And so it's going to be plus y squared plus 12y. And then 9 plus 36 is 45 equals 25. Okay, and then since we want the 0, as we remember right there, we're going to subtract the 25 from both sides, minus 25. And the other thing to notice is that in the actual formula, the x squared and the y squared go first. So I'm going to rearrange everything on this side. So it's going to be x squared plus y squared. So those two are gone. And then minus 6x plus 12y. And 45 minus 25, that's just 20, equals 0. And that would be my answer. For this next example of the general form, we are converting, actually this is the wrong way, this is supposed to say general to standard, but you guys know what I mean. Alright, so let's see, change to standard form. The first step in this process is to add 25 to both sides. So plus 25. This is basically a process. You just want to try and memorize the steps. Even if you're not really a big fan of math or math doesn't come naturally to you, then don't worry about how they're getting what. Just go ahead and memorize these steps. Okay, so first thing we do is we start out with x squared minus 14x. And I'm going to leave some space. So this x squared and this minus 14x goes right in there. And then plus y squared and plus 8y. 8y, leave some space, equals, on the other side we have a 25 now. We are going to put a plus blank and a plus blank over here, and then on the other side we're going to also add a plus blank and plus blank. Basically we're completing the square for those of you who are familiar with that. Okay, then we need to figure out what these blanks are going to be. So we take this middle term from both sides, and that's going to be negative 14. And what you do to it, you divide it by 2, and then you square it, and that's the number that goes in there. So in this case, it's going to be negative 7 squared, so 49, and we add it to the other side as well, 49. And for the y, we're going to have 8 over 2 squared, and put that right in there. So 8 over 2, that's 4. 4 squared is 16, and right there. Okay, now we are almost at the end. From this, we can pretty much go straight into the actual formula. It's going to be x something squared plus y something squared, and then equals. Okay, so to figure out what is going on this side, we're going to actually take a look at this negative 14 over 2. That's the number that you put right here, so it's minus 7. And then similarly for the y, we look at the 8 divided by 2 right there, which is 4, and that's a positive 4, so plus 4 right there. And then on the other side of the equal sign, we just have to add all of these, which gives us, let's see, 20. And that's 90. Okay, 90. Okay, so a couple things I would like to say here. If the question asks for the radius, we're not going to say that it is 90. That is not correct, because remember that r squared is what 90 is supposed to be, right? This part was r squared, So if r squared is 90, then the radius alone is r equals the square root of 90, which I'm sure simplifies a little bit better, but I'm going to leave that alone for right now. So one more, it's the same kind of example, changing a general form to a standard form. I thought I'd do 2 examples since it's just a process that needs to be memorized. Go ahead and pause the screen here if you want to and try it on your own, see how you do, and then play it back and see if you get the correct answer. Alright, let's get started. So we're going to have to add 5 to both sides first, plus 5, and then now we have x squared and plus 10x, and leave a blank space, plus y squared minus 6y blank space equals 5. Then let's put our plus blank and plus blank right there, and same with here, plus blank. Okay, now let's figure out what our blanks are actually going to equal. So this is some side work. 10 divided by 2 and then squared, which is 25. So first one's 25, and the other one is negative 6 divided by 2 and then squared. So that is going to give us a 9. Okay, now let's go ahead and go straight into the final step. We're going to go, it's going to be an x and then plus 5, which once again we got from this whole thing right here. And we keep the sign that came from here. So whatever was with the 10 right there, that's what sign we're going to keep. And then plus, oh, I forgot the square. And then y, and this one's going to be a minus 3 squared equals, on the other side we have 39. Okay, so if you're curious about why we do this whole process of taking the middle number, dividing it by 2, and all that kind of fun stuff, the reason is because we want this to be a perfect square binomial like this, as well as the y minus 3. We want that to be perfect square. And so in order to do that, we have to figure out what is the ideal number, plus 10x, what is the ideal number that goes right here so that it's going to give us a perfect square, x plus something squared. And so that's why we do this whole process. Why do we add it to both sides, this plus 25 and plus 25? Because that way it balances out the equation. We're adding the same number to both sides, so it's preserving the equation basically. And so that's about it for this tutorial. Feel free to give us a like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to go over in more detail.